So let's talk about one of the biggest stories in human history, our relationship with fire. And this isn't just about, staying warm on a cold night. We're talking about a force that literally remade our bodies, our minds, and our entire planet.
I know, that's a huge claim, right? But the evidence is pretty overwhelming. One single technological leap unlocked our entire evolutionary potential and put us on the fast track that led, well, right to where we are today. Fire. It's just one word, but it stands for the single most important transition our ancestors ever made. And that, right there, is the real mystery. I mean, how did they do it? And maybe even more tricky, how can we possibly know what happened over 1 million years ago? The evidence is so faint, it's often super controversial. Piecing it all together is a genuine paleo-detective story.
Okay, so where do we even begin with a story this big? Well, let's start with us, with our own bodies. There is this really fascinating, kind of radical idea called the cooking hypothesis, and it argues that fire didn't just help us survive, it literally cooked us into a brand new species.
It comes from anthropologist Richard Wrangham, and his idea is that the single biggest driver in our evolution from our ape-like ancestors to the much more human-like Homo erectus was the simple act of cooking our food.
And what's amazing is that you can literally see this in the fossil record. I mean, look at the difference. Before fire, our ancestors needed these massive jaws, huge teeth, and these big flared-out rib cages to house a giant gut, all just to grind up and digest tough, raw food. But after fire, cooked food is way softer, it's much easier to digest, so our bodies changed like crazy. Jaws got smaller, teeth shrank, and our torsos got narrower because our digestive system could be way more efficient.
So here's the baseline. The brain size of our pre-fire ancestors Australopithecus was about 450 cubic centimeters. That's not much bigger than what you'd find in a modern chimp.
And now, look at the payoff. Homo erectus, our fire-using ancestor, practically doubled that. You see, that's the crucial trade-off. A smaller, more efficient gut freed up a massive surplus of calories, and all that extra energy had to go somewhere. It went to powering a bigger, more complex, and much more energy-hungry brain.
Okay, but this whole idea brings up a huge question, right? How do you even find a campfire that's 1 million years old? I mean, the ash blows away, the charcoal turns to dust. You have to look for the fire's ghost.
Well, it turns out scientists have this incredible high-tech toolkit. They can use things like spectroscopy to see if minerals in the soil have been superheated. They can look at microscopic slices of sediment to confirm a fire actually burned right there, in situ, and wasn't just washed in from somewhere else. They can even analyze crystals and bone fragments or map out these invisible magnetic signatures that get baked into the earth. It's amazing stuff. But even with all that technology, you always come back to the biggest question of all. Was this fire made on purpose, or was it just an accident? The earliest potential sites we have, like one called Kubi Fora in Kenya, dated to 1.5 million years ago, they are right at the center of this debate. At these really early sites, you find these patches of baked, reddened clay right next to stone tools, which, that looks pretty promising. But the critics make a great point. A burning tree stump from a natural wildfire could leave the exact same signature. So the consensus now is that this was probably opportunistic use. Our ancestors were absolutely smart enough to use a fire they found, but they couldn't control it yet. So that leads us to the real turning point. The crucial moment isn't just using fire, it's about actively maintaining it. This is where the evidence stops being fuzzy and becomes solid, undeniable, and a total game changer for our species. And that solid, undeniable evidence comes from this incredible place in South Africa called Wonderwerk Cave. Dated to 1 million years ago, this is our benchmark. This is the first confirmed case of a controlled, human-maintained fire. And this is where all that detective work really pays off, because the proof here is it's airtight. First, the burned material was found 30 meters deep inside the cave, way too far for a wildfire to reach. Second, they found ashed plant remains and burned bits of bone, showing exactly what was being put in the fire. And finally, that microscopic analysis confirmed it all burned right there, on that spot. This wasn't an accident. This was a home. This was a hearth. But here's a thought that'll kind of bend your mind. For hundreds of thousands of years after Wonderwerk Cave, our ancestors could use and maintain fire, but they couldn't make it. Think about that. They were fire keepers, not fire starters. And until really recently, we thought the actual invention of making fire happened much, much later. This timeline just lays the puzzle out perfectly. We have solid evidence for controlled fire use 1 million years ago. But for decades, the best evidence for actually making fire only dated back to about 50,000 years ago. That's a staggering gap of over 900,000 years where we were totally dependent on finding a fire, maybe from a lucky lightning strike, and then keeping it going. And then, everything changed. A discovery at a site in Barnham, England, just completely rewrote the entire story.
The new date? 400,000 years ago. This just completely upended everything we thought we knew, pushing back the invention of firemaking by an incredible 350,000 years. And this moment has a name. Scientists call it the ignition threshold. It's that revolutionary point where our ancestors, in this case probably early Neanderthals, stopped being dependent on nature and gained true freedom. They had finally developed a toolkit, striking pyrite, or fool's gold, against flint to create sparks whenever they needed them. Okay, so once we could create fire at will, that was another total game changer. It wasn't just about cooking and staying warm anymore. We started using fire as our very first industrial tool to literally engineer new materials and shape the world around us.
And this is just a perfect example from a site called Pinnacle Point in South Africa. We see that early modern humans there had this sophisticated, multi-stage process for making better tools. They would carefully bury a specific kind of rock called silkrete in the sand, build a precisely controlled fire on top to heat it slowly, let it cool down just right, and only then would they try to shape it. Why? Because the heat treatment made the stone way easier to flake into a perfect, deadly spear point. This isn't just banging rocks together. This is engineering. This is early material science.
So you can see how this goes way beyond just making a better spear point. Mastering fire sparked a revolution that fundamentally rewired our societies, our brains, and eventually the entire planet.
I mean, the cascade of consequences is just immense. The hearth became our first social network. It pushed back the darkness, extending the day for storytelling, for planning, for sharing knowledge. It was a wall of light that kept predators away, making it safe to sleep on the ground. We even started using it to reshape whole landscapes with controlled burns to make hunting easier. And every one of these innovations pushed our brains to grow, rewarding complex planning and social cooperation.
When you think about that whole journey, from a simple, carefully tended hearth in a cave all the way to the global-scale combustion of our industrial world, this relationship with fire is what defines us. It gave us our bigger brains, it gave us our complex societies, and it gave us our dominance over this planet. But looking at the world we've built and the climate we've changed, it forces us to ask one last, really crucial question.